Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of the Crypto Forecast. So let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin, BTC as usual, and then we're going to talk about the altcoins a little bit, the Bitcoin dominance. So first thing is this giant triangle, which we've been talking about for quite some time now. For the record, I have been tweeting about this triangle several times. Here on Twitter, you can see the 15th of August was the first time. I tweeted again when it was bouncing here for first time. I said, I think this looks good for a bounce here. So let's go back to the chart. So this was here on this bounce. We had quite a strong bounce, and then we rejected at the 20 and the 50 daily moving averages. But now the triangle is holding again. I think it is going to hold. I think we are bouncing from here and eventually go to the top of the triangle, like I have been saying for quite some time. I think in my last video I said the same thing. The reason is because, well, this is a very long-term and very strong support, and we are also being supported by the 100-day moving average, which is the yellow line here. I hope you guys can see it. So I think this is going to bounce and eventually go to the top of this triangle and then reject again and tighten before we have an actual breakout. Now, this is only valid, of course, until or unless support breaks. In the worst case scenario, let's say this line breaks and we start to break down. I said this in my previous video already, but I'm gonna repeat it again. I think our next major support is going to be the 20-week moving average, which is the red moving average here. And right now, exactly, it's at 8,850. But it's uptrending quickly, as you can see. Last week, the 20-week moving average last week was at 8,600. You know, if the price manages to stay, you know, at these levels or bounce from here, next week is gonna be like probably $100 above. So it's uptrending pretty fast. I think if the 20-week moving average is going to be tested, because it's always tested, sooner or later it'll have to be tested. I think if it's tested relatively soon, it'll be up here. I think the moving average, which will actually catch up with the price and touch the price somewhere around $10,000, and from there is when the price is going to bounce big time. That's my view. That's how I read it. I don't think the price is going to break down to meet the 20-week moving average. I think it's going to be the opposite. I think it's going to be the moving average that's going to go up quickly to meet the price up here at around $10,000, $11,000 or whatever the price is by then. And then from there is when we are going to see the bounce. But we are weeks away, if not a month or two. Now, I wanted to show the Bitcoin dominance. It's still bullish, guys, still bullish, but it's forming a very clear, let's go to the daily candles here. It's forming a very clear rising wedge, which is usually a bearish pattern. I have been monitoring this pattern for a long time now, for like 2-3 weeks. But the reason I'm not mentioning it is because patterns mean nothing until they actually break. And so unless I see a breakdown, I'm not going to be calling for, you know, for lower targets. But I'm monitoring this pattern, and I wanted to say it on, you know, on this video with some time in advance, because let's say this breaks down like vertically, I'm not gonna be online to make a video right then. So that's why I make my videos with a little bit of time in advance. So far, no breakdown, but if there is a breakdown, you can expect the Bitcoin dominance to go back to the 63% level here. And what would that mean for the markets as a whole? We don't know yet, guys, but for now, something is changing. Every time Bitcoin dumps, you see the altcoins holding their ground pretty good. Also, when Bitcoin versus the US dollar goes up, altcoins go up, but not as much. So you can see there's kind of like a disconnection already between Bitcoin and altcoins. And I think that's a good sign in general for the crypto industry as a whole. because during bear markets, altcoins underperform Bitcoin by a lot. It doesn't matter if Bitcoin is dumping or is bouncing at that moment. During the whole bear market, altcoins underperform Bitcoin by a lot. And then we have the next stage where the Bitcoin dominance kind of starts to go sideways and altcoins are not affected as much by Bitcoin movements. And then we enter the full-on bull market when altcoins start to overperform Bitcoin by a lot. So I think we're transitioning now. We are in this middle, stage where Bitcoin and altcoins start to disconnect. So it doesn't matter what Bitcoin does, altcoins stay kind of sideways, like holding their ground. And I understand that, I read that as a accumulation phase for the altcoins. We are still not full-on bull market, so I don't expect alt season to happen like tomorrow, but I think we're transitioning. We are in that stage where Bitcoin and altcoins start to disconnect a little bit, and then the next stage is optimism and full-on bull market, and then is when we will probably see altcoin season. But remember, there's like 2,000 or 3,000 altcoins in the market. Most of them are doing nothing, and most of them will probably stay down and never recover. But some selected altcoins, the ones that are at the top, the ones that held the bear market pretty well, those are probably going to outperform Bitcoin in the coming months. When, I don't know. I said many times that altcoin season historically always starts when BTC breaks its previous all-time high. So it happened in the previous cycle. So in this cycle, altcoin season should start when Bitcoin breaks $20,000, but I'm not so sure anymore. That's my own theory as well. I have been saying this for so long, but the problem is, what bothers me a little bit about this theory is that I have seen a little bit too many people already commenting on this, like saying the exact same thing. If everybody starts talking about this, if everybody starts expecting this, it's not going to happen. We will probably, my best guess is that we will probably have an altcoin season way earlier than people expect, like leaving people behind, waiting at the train station, just like it happened with BTC when it started to go up and no one was prepared. I think something like this could happen for the altcoins. So these are my views. I'll continue to update. I'll continue to monitor the Bitcoin dominance. And yeah, I'll leave it here for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.